This podcast is hosted by Sheza Barbour, co-founder of Good Tree Institute, and joined by licensed therapist Archie Aquino and our resident scholar and founder, Dr. Nadia Qatranji.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Timeless Conversations with Good Tree Institute. I'm Sheza Barbour, and I'm joined here with Archie Aquino and Dr. Nadia Qatranji. So last episode, we delved into the concept of arrogance, and one of the last questions we left off with for the audience was thinking about where does arrogance show in other ways, including towards people. So today we're going to continue on with Surah Maryam and in relation to that conversation and that topic. Dr. Nadia, do you want to continue?
Absolutely. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
It's interesting that you alluded last time, Archie, about the aspect of the sects, right? The groups and all of that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give us two more manifestations of arrogance and inability to surrender that He's going to show in this episode and in the next one. So we addressed the one towards Allah, and now we're going to talk about kind of another aspect or another type. So let's delve into it and let's see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. Bismillah. He says, وَإِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُنَا بَيِّنَاتٍ, and when our signs are recited and are said to them, they are clear signs, they're clear ayahs, right? قَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, the ones who covered the truth said to the ones who trusted and believe in God. And I say this again one more time, we always look at these ayahs that are kind of like when we're talking about rejecting the truth, or we're talking about not believing in certain concepts. There is a theoretical one that, of course, we have to address and we have to understand. And there's more of an internal one. You can be not like there's no actual covering, like, I believe there's God, I believe this, I believe in the Quran. But there is a manifestation of my life. Is that aligned with this belief? That's how you want to look at it. If you're somebody who this is not an issue for you. If it's still an issue, the concept is an issue, that's something you can look at from that perspective as well. So I always want to make sure that we look at it from both ways. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying the ones who covered the truth said to the ones who believed or trusted and believed when they're confronted with the signs of Allah, when they're confronted with the conversation about the divine, they said to them, أَيُّ الْفَرِيقَيْنِ, which of the two parties? Your party, the ones who believe in God, or the party of those who are just living life? Which of the two, خَيْرٌ مَقَامًا, is better? Khayr is better. Maqaman comes from qawm, which is to be in a upright position. It's kind of like your stature, your position. Which party has a better position? Has a better standpoint and presentation in life, status in life, exactly. Which of the two parties? وَأَحْسَنُ, and he said, وَأَحْسَنُ نَدِيًّا, and better and more beautiful and better. So both khayr and ahsan are both alluding to the fact of kind of like being better, but ahsan has more of that kind of like beautiful. It has an aspect of beauty. وَأَحْسَنُ نَدِيًّا. Nadiyya is basically the groups of, it comes from nada, which is one of them is to call. So the people who are being attracted to a group, right? So nadi, we use the word nadi, which is a club, right? So he's saying, well, I just want you to see, obviously your guys are the wrong ones and we are the right ones, just by the matter of fact of how our status and our party's status is way better than yours, and our attraction to people, the amount of people that belong to us, that are with us, are way more than yours. Just by the mere fact of these two, I'm just telling you to see. Stop telling me about these ayahs and about the truth and about all of that stuff. Just look. Which of the two parties has a better condition? Right? You just, and obviously a lot of the times that is that is one of the parameters, and that's one of the criteria that people look to assess and to say, okay, well, I mean, should I go here? We use this criteria a lot of the times. It's like, is this, maybe not a lot of people are going there. Maybe this is not good enough, right? Like if you want to go to a restaurant, when I live in, it's like, where's the most attractive place? Where is the place that people, there's a wait list there. We always kind of use that criteria to see if this is good or not. So that's the logic people are using.
So these are the ones who covered saying to the ones who don't cover, like, what's it getting you?
Yeah. You're not. I mean, people are not really attracted to you. That means there's nothing really of value for you here. There's nothing.
Like, look at your life, look at my life. Look at your car, look at my car.
And then you can see exactly. So look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded. Look what he says. He says, وَكَمْ أَهْلَكْنَا قَبْلَهُمْ مِنْ قَرْنٍ. He said, I want you to zoom out a little bit time-wise and look back in history and look at civilizations and parties and people and groups of people that passed away. Just look at all of their life and look how they're gone. How many of centuries of people have, and generations that were gone. هم أحسنوا أثاثا ورئيا. They actually had a better, athas is more of possessions, things that you own. They had actually better possessions than you do. Wari'ya, it's kind of like their appearance. They looked better than you actually did. They were really pretty great. So there's a point here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to address with us. He says, yeah, I mean, you're right. If I take a snapshot at your life right now, yeah, you actually look better. You actually do have a more popular group. You actually do have more attraction. You could be in an upper hand. But guess what? This is the nature of falsehood, by the way. Temporarily, you can go up and you can have millions of followers and subscribers. But Allah is inviting us and He's saying, what? Can you just zoom out a little bit in time and look at the end result? If this doesn't last.
Look where it got them, even though they had all that stuff.
Yeah. So He's acknowledging the fact that your logic and your argument stands, but it's incomplete. You're looking just at a very small amount of time. You're not looking at the whole thing.
Short-sighted.
Short-sighted, exactly.
And you're not that special.
Oh, yeah. I've destroyed people better than you.
Yeah, you think, especially our time, like now people can say this, oh my goodness, yeah. So this whole thing, so if we were talking about the types of arrogance, there is something here that's very obvious, right? It's like better, right? He said better and more beautiful. And, there is what over here? There is this aspect of arrogance shows up in the word better.
Wow. I mean, I feel like these ayats are just very relatable to our times today. I mean, with social media and influencers and just this constant chasing after what you feel like, got to be like this group, got to have this, got to do this, got to be a part of this. On the one hand, we see it in a lifestyle perspective, right? Like this just constant chasing of I need to be accepted by these certain groups. And then if you look at it from a political perspective that we live in today, it's also there too. The certain groups feel like they're better than others. And they hold staunch to that.
And from a religious perspective, also, kind of like from a theological or, creed perspective, people also think that they're better than others. Every group thinks, I got the truth. I am the one who's better. Everybody else, really is lost. So there's also, yep. even
So,
within the same group, right? Yeah, go ahead.
so this concept of whose group is better has so many different ways you can define that. Like you're saying, like based on who's got the more true religion, who's got the better possessions. I mean, how do we define what's better?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the question is, how do you like? What is the criteria, right? Of
Yeah.
how you're choosing your group?
And we're all choosing groups too. Like you can't not choose a group.
Yeah, and it's one of the questions is like, are you choosing it based on the clout of their appeal in the dunya? Is I think that's the most obvious, or I see it a lot just because I feel like it's in our face so much. Is like, um, you want that. They make you believe that you want that. It's all so dunya related. Like, I want to be that. I want that. It seems so that life seems so easy. So I want that too. I want to have those things. I want to have that house. I want to have those vacations. And in order for me to do that, I got to be like them,
Yep.
you know? Um,
Yeah, I think to your point, the types of groups, some of them are very loud and clear, others are a little bit more subtle, right?
yeah.
Like there are parties that are just like so obvious. The being right. We are the right ones. A lot of the times you see this in when we talk about religions or talk about these things, like we're the only right ones, or maybe the political parties. We have the right way of thinking. We have the right methodology. We have the right approach. We are the right, and they're always pointing out to everybody else being the wrong. That's a very clear one that a lot of times there is this aspect of arrogance, like we're the only ones there. But as to your point, the majority of people actually shy away from this. They don't like this kind of approach, and a lot of people go into more subtle groups and parties and belonging to certain groups, and they don't think that it's a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even choosing not to be part of a group is actually a default group.
Exactly. Because what's a group, right? What is a group? Even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he says faraq, like faraqa, it's kind of like something that's being distinguished with certain manifestations and certain criteria, right? It's like you have a clear description of that. That's how you are. And even us human beings, we always try to kind of like categorize people based on that. So the aspect of belonging to a certain way of thinking or a certain approach or a certain whatever, even in lifestyle, like there are groups. It's just like inevitable.
Yeah. I mean, that is the nature of humans, right? We cluster
Yeah.
ourselves and organize ourselves, and,
Yeah.
sometimes whether we realize it or not, right? But I think it might be even helpful for us to kind of really dissect what are these types of groups? You know, where do people stand, just to kind of see like, hey, where can I, like, how do I methodically understand this, and where am I seeing myself in these
Yeah,
groups,
make it
right?
concrete so people can be like, oh yeah, I'm in that group.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, there's one that we talked about, like the one type of group, which is like, belonging to the only right one, that is like, it's kind of like the exclusive group, right? The people that feel that they're exclusive, right?
Exclusive, extremist.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more based on opinion, and it's most based on a creed or on a way of thinking or on like these principles and values are the only right ways, and the way it has to be is only in this particular way, right? Very, very right. Like yeah, that's very clear.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah, and
clearly defined, those types of people. And I think we could identify those groups pretty easily, who feel that way, think that way, talk that way.
Political
yeah,
parties are very clear. One of them, as we said, religions, especially generally speaking, when you're in organized religion, or kind of like, okay, we're just like this. And very, very clearly dismissal of any other group that doesn't belong to their way of thinking. Very dismissal, even if they don't say it. It's like that. That's one, and that's usually very judgmental, very righteous, rigid.
Even if they don't think they are.
Superior. Superior for sure. Like very, even if they try to show you that they care, and it's kind of very fake, you can smell the fakeness right away. It's like, I know you're just trying to kind of patronize me, just to be politically correct or to whatever, but it's not genuine.
Yeah, that's definitely the easiest one to identify.
Yeah.
And it does have a huge impact on the person who is being that, right? I mean, despite the aspect of arrogance that we're talking about, there is the aspect of it's very stressful. It's very rigid. There's no room. Like, there's always tense. People, you're tense, and people around you are tense.
Yeah, they're very angry.
That's true. That is true.
Angry
That's
people.
a true. Yeah.
That's
a very true description.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, that is kind of true.
Because they're always criticizing and judging everybody. Like, they're wrong. They're so wrong. These people are idiots. They're so wrong.
Yeah.
And then they're
So
mad at the
true.
world for not agreeing with them, or them not agreeing with the world.
Yeah.
That's very true. All right. What's the second
The
group?
second group, it seems like it's like one of the people who go with the trends of the majority.
This is the subtle one, right?
But I feel like it's very mainstream. Like,
It is.
These days, it's just like, oh, well, everybody, this is what's popular or trendy now, so I got to be a part of that. I want that, and so I'm just going
I
to.
don't want to get canceled, so I better just conform.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's like, and also a lot of the times it's like you want to belong to this high class, right? Based on, like, you want to be, here in Phoenix, it's like, being in Scottsdale, or being in where you live, and being included in that big group, and have to wear certain designer clothes to be fitting in, and your house has to have a certain level so that it can be included.
And your kids have to go to a certain school.
Yep. I mean, we have those in every city.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Or you have to be, or sometimes it's based on your race, or based on your education. Oh my goodness, based on your education. It's like you have to be part of that elite. Like, everybody is after being part of that elite.
Yep.
So if you're there, you feel better than everybody else.
Exactly. Or
and if you're not,
your education or your career, like, oh, this is where the doctors are. These are the tech founders. These are the lawyers. They all live around here, and we all interact this way and behave this way and choose these things over those things. And everybody wants to be like that and wants to be a part of that club.
It's the high school cliques.
Yep, as an adult form. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're so anxious to keep up with the Joneses on that. Like, you have to.
That's a huge impact.
Keep watching everybody and seeing, oh, they got that TV. I got to get that TV.
Or that car and that house and that membership to that gym or country club or whatever. It's just never ending.
Yeah, and my party is like, doesn't match with who can come to my party. Like, or I want to make sure that I still, constantly in there, so I can be invited to these kinds of parties. So it's
live my life according to, what would all my friends say if they knew about this?
Totally.
Yeah.
This is, as you said, the mainstream, and it's very, very exhausting, and it consumes you.
It does.
Like decades, believe it, decades, and you won't even notice. You don't even notice that you've been just like in this party for so long. And people, by the way, to me, what I found the major problem with it is that because it's a very demanding lifestyle, although people might see sometimes like, it's very exhausting, I know, and I really see where the truth is, I see where I need to be and all of that, but I just, if I don't I'm not present all the time and catching up all the time with everything, then I'm gonna be taken out.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be part of it anymore. So that's where it's very exhausting. Like your commitment, you're committed,
Yeah.
but your
Yeah.
commitment has a very high cost, very high cost. And it's on the account on your own well-being, on your quality of life, on your soul, on your, like, what is it that you really want out of this life that is just so short? And that's why Allah said it. He said, listen, it goes by so fast and you're not even noticing, and it's all gone. It's all gone.
Yeah.
Look what he says. I want to show you this since we're stopping for a second. Let me just show you how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the thing, it's just like it keeps dragging over and over. Look what he says. He says, قُلْ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الضَّلَالَةِ Say, he's kind of like wanting us to understand the nature of these kinds of types of groups. He says, whoever was in this loss, man kana fi dalala, whoever is in the situation of loss, like you are in a part that's just like consumed by your righteousness or consumed by your lifestyle and consumerism and trying to catch up with that party. He says, whoever was in like that, فَلْيَمْدُدْ لَهُ الرَّحْمَنُ مَدًّا. Again, he brings a Rahman who cares about you and who wants you. He says, listen, even though he is going to give you more and more and more of it.
Ah.
And there's a reason why he does that. He says, listen, حتى إذا رأوا ما يوعدون, until they find what they are promised by. إما العذاب, either the punishment, وإما الساعة, or the hour. He says, at that time, فسيعلمون, they are going to know. من هو شر مكانا وأضعف جندا. They're going to know at that point who is actually in a place that is worse. The word sharara, it's like shar is evil, but it's more like the root of it is to be dispersed. Like you're just gone. Who is in a more evil and worse place? وَأَضْعَفُ جُنْدًا, and who had the weaker group of people. So what you notice over here, I just want to draw our attention to this aspect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, إِمَّا الْعَذَابِ, either the punishment or the sa'ah. He starts by the punishment as if he's alluding not only to the one that is in the afterlife, he's alluding to this life. He's saying, like, I'm going to keep giving you until you get what you are promised, which is the outcome of this kind of lifestyle. It is very
It's punishing.
painful. It's a punishment. It's painful. And he does it because he's a Rahman, because he wants you to get out of it. He's like, what are you doing? And as we just said, people feel the pain, but they feel they're stuck.
This reminds me of the old punishment when people used to catch their kids smoking. They'd be like, okay, you want to smoke? Smoke this whole carton. And then the kid would get throw up, be physically sick, and then they never want to do it again. So Allah's like, okay, you want to live like this? Allah, let's see what happens. Keep doing it.
Yeah. So that's the part that, we gotta learn to not be short-sighted and to understand the scope of what we're doing, not stay in that hamster wheel thinking that I don't have another option. Of course you do. You're not enjoying it. You are saying I'm consumed. You're saying my quality of life, even my time with my children is not happening. My quality of my own well-being is not happening. I'm always matching the standard of that group. You're saying I'm suffering. Why are you doing that to yourself? Allah is saying this end is not good. You're going to see how weak it is. He says you're going to be very surprised, if not in this life, later on in the next life, you're going to say, what did I do to myself? Why did I belong to this group?
Yeah, the whole fear of missing out phenomenon, gotta keep up, gotta stay with the crowd. Oh my God,
what do they call it? FOMO. The FOMO, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're missing out, but guess what? There are other people who can tell you that you're missing out. There's this song that they talk about the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he says, come on, you're missing out. You're missing out. There are times where the connection with Allah is so beautiful, and you're just missing out, sleeping or doing other things. And if you know what you missed out, your heart will break. Of course, you're going to be missing out, but notice which one do you want to miss out?
Yeah. You can choose your FOMO.
There you go. Choose your FOMO. I like that. Choose your FOMO. So let's I think we have, before we kind of mention the group that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is advocating for, to your guys' point, I think it's very important to highlight the third type. Like, there is the type that we mentioned, the rigid ones, the only right ones, exclusive ones, and there is the kind of high standard lifestyle ones. But there is a group that's very, very, very important that we highlight, which is the group that is all inclusive.
Isn't that good though?
That's a great part, but that's the thing, as you said, what happens is that when you are all inclusive and everything is relative, there is no stand for what is right and what is okay and what is not. When I'm just like, no, everybody's good, it's fine, just love everybody. Beautiful. That part is us. I love that.
Yeah.
All of our realities are valid.
It's my truth and my reality. It's all, the problem with this is that it is a hook. It's a justification for things that are actually very detrimental to our society and not working for our society. And we just use this method to basically include all the wrong.
Yeah.
An example of pedophile, just like, if they're feeling like that, just let them be. Excuse me? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's what happens. You're trying. It's like, that's their truth. That's their reality. That's what they're feeling.
Yeah. And and it starts out with small things, and then you get to big things like that, where people are just like, well, that's what they feel, and that's okay. We just got to accept everything. And it's all, again, it goes back to like, nobody wants to commit to anything. And then nobody wants to be held accountable and don't want to hold other people accountable.
Yeah. I would say the main thing about this kind of mentality is that, or party, or whatever you want to call it, is that the highlight is that you're governed by your desire. You're governed, you're led, you are basically in a state of, I'm going to use the Quranic term, a state of a worship and surrender and submission to your own desire. And your feelings govern what needs to happen. Your emotions, your state, your whatever occurs to you as a reality is going to be governing your life.
When I have clients who have addictions, they often say, when they're like still in their addiction, I'm like, what was that choice based on? Why did you do that? And it's half a joke and half the truth, that they say, it just felt like the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah.
Very subjective. They don't have a code of ethics. They don't have a morality code. It just felt like something I should do at that time.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's no forethought of consequences. Like,
Right.
Have you thought this through? Like, what are the intended consequences and maybe unintended consequences that could happen by you doing this? There's no thought. There's no like aql involved. It's all feelings.
Yeah. And that's, and needless to say, I know, Archie, you can go on and on and on talking about the aspect of how the mind and the emotions are not your rock that you can base your decisions and your life on, because they fluctuate so much. They're very conditional. They go up and down based on whatever is happening. They're like waves.
Yeah.
You can't base your life on waves.
If you're living based on feelings and everything is just dictated by what you feel and it's not balanced out by thought, then you're going to have a diagnosis. That's a disorder. And your life is not going to function as well as you would like it to.
Yeah, and you're always up and down. You're always kind of like, your state is always conditional and based on what is going on in your life. This is another huge sect of people that right nowadays we're dealing with immensely. Like, no, my emotions are above everything, and everybody needs to validate them and needs to be very careful and aware of them. And literally, you walk with people, it's like you're walking eggshells. Everybody's feelings are somehow, if you look, somebody is going to be, their feelings going to be hurt. If you say something, oh, you actually excluded this group, you did this, it became like very, and there is a distinction that we have to be very clear about. You have to be emotionally intelligent. You have to be validating people. You have to be understanding people, considerate to people. You have to be giving people room. Don't be judgmental. That's all great. We have to be these kinds of people. It's not my business to be judgmental unto you, but don't live life as if the whole world revolves around the reality and everybody has to accept this. We can't live together this way.
Yeah. When those emotions are unchecked, this is where people have such severe anxiety these days.
Yeah.
They're just, they don't have a sense of responsibility of having to, that they can control what they're feeling and how they're feeling.
Yeah. And
I feel like, isn't that like what they call nowadays just being able to regulate your emotions? People have lost that ability to regulate their own emotions, and then it just gets thrown out to others, and everybody else has to accept those. And if you don't, then it's like, you're not validating my feelings, and you didn't
Everyone else
answer
has
me
to
or talk to
accommodate
me,
them.
you know? Instead of being like, no, why don't you regulate your own emotions and kind of contain it and bring it back in? And then we can have conversations,
yeah. So there is, again, as we
That is
said,
a
there
lot.
is that balance of being understanding of other people and like embracing where other people are at, but at the same time, I need to be responsible. By the same token, yes, people will understand me and will validate me and all of that. We're going to do that, but at the same time, I need to be responsible, because otherwise, as we said, if everybody is revolving around their own emotions, can you imagine the world? It's like, literally, it's like, even in the insect world, that's not how people, how in the animal kingdom, that's not how the flocks work. Everybody is going in a certain direction. There is a harmony with Allah's creation. And what happens for us human beings is, if I want to have my own center based on my constantly changing emotions, each of us has that, there's no way we can live. And
Chaos.
it's very chaotic. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, no, you gotta understand that you have a core that's way bigger than your emotion. Have those aspects in your psyche taken care of, understand them, see what's going on with them, but don't let them be in the driver's seat. You're gonna have your life be a wreck. Have your core, your driver's seat needs to be the one that the part of you that connects to Allah. That's the one that's going to give you an ability to be anchored and steady and steadfast and moving forward in life so well. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the last group, let me show you the Quran that he talks about with the last group before we get into that group. He says in the last group, وَالَّذِينَ وَيَزِيدُ اللَّهُ, he says وَيَزِيدُ اللَّهُ, and Allah increases the ones who are guided in guidance. Just like how those who are in a state of loss, he goes like, you get more and more of it until you kind of like really deal with the consequence of it, get sick of it. He says, but by the same token, if you're anchored in Allah and you're seeking your guidance from this core connection, Allah is going to increase you in that ability to move with your way with a steady way. And then he adds a very particular point that we're just going to, inshallah, delve into, which is he says, وَالْبَاقِيَاتُ الصَّالِحَاتِ. He says, and the baqiya is to stay, the things that are staying. And he describes what's staying as salih, the actions that make things good, what you're making good in life that actually lasts. He says those ones are the ones that are better. Khayrun. Those are the better ones. He says you have to identify how do you identify your better? So Allah is saying you can have so many ways of better, right? The righteous, the only kind of like my emotions and my feelings and my way of thinking, my truth. You can have my, the having a lavish lifestyle or a high class. Or he says, listen, all of these are going to go. They're going to go very quickly. The only one that stays, he says, it is the actions that actually bring good to life. Those stay beyond your own age, beyond your own life. Beyond your time, they stay and people benefit from them and reap the benefit of them throughout life, and you will reap the benefit of it. You will take it with you as you go to the afterlife. He says it's khayr inda rabbika. It's better with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a reward. He'll give you a better outcome out of it. Wa khayrum maradda, and it's a better radda is to return, and it's a better return for you. It's more of a return. In the financial world, how they say, like, you have to see what is it that gives you a better
Your ROI.
Return on investment.
return.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what he's talking about. He says, like, this is what's better. So this identifies the fourth group that basically the sect that we are saying, which is the more breathable one, the one that is seeking, the one that is open, the one that is looking and trying to really anchor themselves in the true reality of this life and with the divine and with their own understanding of who we truly are as human beings. He says, you just, and there's something very, there's something very clear about the manifestation of this group. What do you notice when you see the people who are in this kind of group? What do you notice? It's good to kind of like really address that and look at that.
Yeah, I think they don't. This group doesn't have anyone who has to go without so that they can get what they need. There's no losers with this group.
So it's like everybody
Beautiful.
wins.
Everybody
We're all in
wins.
this together. Like everyone's everyone's aiming for the same or, good things, right?
Yeah. There's no collateral damage, right?
Yeah.
Right.
See, the problem with the other three is that I'm not paying attention to actually what I'm doing to the people around me, even to my own self. Honestly, I'm not
Yeah, that's
noticing
true.
the impact or the collateral damage or the side effects of my actions. I'm just looking at what I want. Whereas in this one, everybody, there is when an action is bringing good, it doesn't bring out something bad to it. It's holistic and it's healing. That's the nature. Yeah.
And it's sustainable.
It's
It keeps on getting replenished, right? The barakah.
Barakah, exactly. Beautiful.
Gosh, I mean, I'm looking at it from like a parental perspective, just, because a lot of times, sometimes when you as an adult and a parent or head of household, you might be in the throng of something, like you're dealing with your own stuff, whatever it is that's going on. And you're just like, I can't take it anymore. I'm just going to break. Or you do something, you go off the path thinking, well, it's just me, but not really thinking, hey, you're breaking the barakah of your family. Like it's just me, it's my own consequences. But not only you're breaking the barakah of your family, but you're also not thinking about the impact and consequences it's having on your kids, on your family as a whole, like those the closest to you.
Yeah.
And leading them maybe off the wrong path,
Very, very true. And I do think that even the closest circle that you want to look at that's being impacted is your own self. Physically, your body, like the actual physical body, your psyche is suffering despite that, because it's kind of like in that continuous whatever way of being it is, and the world around you, there is a huge impact. Whereas with this one, it's like healing. It's open, it's breathable, it's non-judgmental.
There's growth.
There is growth, absolutely.
You even improve, like you said. He improves you. Your development happens.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that whole thing about being righteous or these kind of things. Like you see it. I've been kind of like studying a person, and it's just like seeing that growth of that person, how in the beginning it would clash with anybody who clashes with their own, like criticizes them or things like that. I mean, I shouldn't go far. I mean, I lived like my life like this, rather than the example of others. It's like, yeah, I mean, for me, it was constantly very stressful and I was always in an anxious state where I just like was trying to do what I want, but at the same time, anything that it clashes, I blame it on the circumstances rather than my own behavior, until I started actually owning, like, certain behaviors, if I want whatever I want, I just like want to not be aware of my surroundings. I start seeing that it's my own decision.
Yeah, that's where all empowerment and growth happens, is when you take that accountability. It's not just for Judgment Day. it's for your own personal development.
Yeah, and that's where you become when you like there is a clash with people, or even with your own issues, that you're kind of a problem that's coming up, rather than looking and blaming and seeing how righteous you are, how wrong they are, how invalidating all of that stuff that we say. I look right away, just like, okay, well, where did that fall off? Why am I blaming them? And even when people come at you with certain things, and they come at you with certain whatever, anger, whatever stuff, it's just like their problem. That doesn't really trigger me anymore, because I'm just see, that's where you're not judgmental to others. You just embrace it, and you're okay with that. I'm not saying let them walk all over you. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But it's just like you're not reacting. You can
Yeah.
stop people, but without that annoyance and reaction and rigidity and, toxicity. That's what guidance is.
That's wisdom. I mean, that's just living a life that is very empowered and assertive and everything good that you want that you can describe a life to be.
Yeah. So if you notice, Yani, if you want to look a little bit deeper, we described like 4 types, and we said that the 4th type is the type that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is advocating for. And the other 3 were kind of manifestations of where the majority of people fall in. There is something in common between these 3 types, like the righteous, or the ones who wants to go with the high level standard, or the one who wants to be all about my feelings and my truth. There is something about all of them that's kind of like actually causing the arrogance. That's the reason why there's arrogance.
It's all about me, and my needs and my life. And the last one was about good deeds. Good deeds for who? For others.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. So, and if you dig even deeper, why is it so much about me? Why is it always about me?
Because I'm looking out for number 1, baby.
Me, myself, and I.
Yeah. Yeah. And the biggest reason is because you don't know you. Why am I looking so much out for
Right.
me? Is because I'm trying to prove me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to show and prove that I am good, that I am worthy. I'm trying to seek value. I am not feeling that I'm enough. Even arrogance, the bottom of it, the kind of other side of it is, I'm trying to show that I'm good enough. I'm trying to show that I'm valuable enough. I'm trying to prove me. It's all about proving me, being right, being dominating, being controlling, it's like me. Why? Because I don't feel that I'm worthy.
Yeah, who are you proving it to?
Even to yourself, like even for you, when you're just trying to, when I'm trying, I don't understand my worth. When I don't get my worth, that's where the problem is.
Yeah, so it's really about a insecurity about your own worth, not anything about Allah, not trusting Him. You just don't know what you're worth. You don't know your value.
So you try to get your value by attaching yourself to certain groups, by attaching yourself to certain lifestyle. You think that this lifestyle or this group is going to make you worthy. If you become with this popular group, you're going to be worthy. That's the concern. It's a major. So unless if you really deal with that concern that I'm just not worthy and I need to find my worth somewhere and I need to kind of get with somebody to feel that I'm good enough, you're always going to fall in this. And it's always going to manifest, show up as feeling better than other people who are not part of this worth. And that's where the arrogance comes from. And that's where I'm stopped. Like even being able to surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't even mention it. That's why the whole aspect of arrogance towards Allah and towards people, really, they lead to each other and they are connected. So bottom line, you really need to know, where does your worth come from?
Yeah, and stop making about the groups. It can't be about the groups.
Yeah, and some people sometimes think just like, yeah, well, I mean, it's you have to understand that you're, because of your skills and because of who you are, because of what you work towards, and you work so hard to get. Of course, you're going to feel valuable because of that. But there's a problem to this. There's a real major problem to this. Yeah, at one point, nobody is saying don't get skills and don't get things, but you don't get them so you can be better. Get skills and learn and do better things and have a better quality of life, not to be better, not to be part of the better group. That's very exhausting because you're going to have to keep running after this better, which is going to go away very quickly. Whereas if your intention is, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, work towards what lasts.
And even if it's about being better, like I think the focus that the most successful athletes and competitive people say is like, I'm not competing against other people. I'm competing against me. I'm competing against being a better version of me than I was yesterday. Improvement is what I'm competing against.
Yeah, but you have to see what's the source of that improvement, right? Of that seeking improvement. Again, same thing. It falls in the same thing. Yeah, it could show up as like, yeah, I'm just like trying to be a better version of myself. Why? Why do you want to be a better version of yourself? I remember I used to say that all the time. Well, for me, it was because I needed to prove to people that I actually can do it. That's why I never cared about comparing with others. I never did. Mm-hmm. But it was because I was trying to be better, to show people that I can
be better, not for the outcome of like, I'm being better for the sake of Allah. I'm being better for what am I giving back? What's my legacy when we talk about legacy in terms of like, what are we giving back to future generations, or the good deeds that Allah is accepting that will continue on after our death, right?
It's
all. What am I getting better at, and what am I doing with that?
Yeah, and why? Why am I doing that? It's when you go back, keep tracking it. If it reaches to me and my worth, then that's where you're still not convinced that you're worthy without any of that. Just by the mere fact that you're a human being, that's where your worth comes from, not from your skills. I'm sorry. Get your skills to do something good for people, not to feel better. Because the word better is actually very, very toxic to our relationships with each other and with even our own selves. Me thinking because of my certain skills and understandings, I am better than other people, regardless. You can think, oh yeah, well, I'm connected to Allah, I'm better because I'm connected to Allah. Excuse me? That doesn't work.
It seems like inherently the word better has an element of arrogance to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because there's always a then. Better than. then you got to keep filling in. Well, then what's that?
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, I think we got the point, and we don't need to keep addressing it.
Now it's like the remedy. Okay, we talked about all of that, and there's a lot to unpack, but what's the remedy here? Like, how do we help ourselves?
Yeah. I think it's very hard for us to acknowledge and realize that we are actually, we have an element of arrogance. It's very hard for us to do that.
I think nobody's immune, right? Everyone
And
has.
exactly, and that's the first
Yeah.
step. I got this when I was actually very, very young, like in my first steps on this path. And I remember one of my kind of like mentors. I was kind of dealing with my own being annoyed and everything and depressed, and she was like, "Yeah, maybe you're just like full of yourself." And she said it in a word that I wasn't very, like, I didn't understand
Hmm.
the language of it, and then kind of like I said, "Oh my God, is she saying that I'm arrogant?" And I was like, "No way!" And I always occurred as somebody who's so humble and very nice. And then I faced that reality, and it was scary. It was scary. Yes, I thought that I'm better because of how I live and how righteous I am and how I'm studying and I'm learning and I'm trying to seek Allah and all of that stuff. I was like full of myself. Yes, that was not a comfortable thing to do, but and I was happy that I actually saw that.
So we're saying like you need to identify some triggers, right? Have this insight. What's it called? Like self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Self-awareness that you have your arrogance, and some of the things that might be a good indication, I think, are I use anger. Like we talked about the extremist group number one, where they think they're superior and they're always angry at people. Well, if you're feeling angry and you're judging other people and that makes you angry, then you're probably
That's a
in
clear
some
arrogance.
arrogance.
That's a clear arrogance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it could be sometimes just to your point. The way I operate with it nowadays is that any situation that I feel a little annoyed or anxious or stressed or depressed, or it's just like it bothers me, I'm just like, what's the source of it? It goes back to me. How dare they say this to me?
How dare they do this to me?
Or yeah, exactly.
Or my family, or this or
Don't they know
that.
who I am?
Yeah. Yeah, I think being understanding your triggers, or just realizing that you're even triggered, and getting to the source of your triggers is a good is definitely a good way. I think it's
It's
easy.
the start.
It's a start,
It's the
right?
It's a
start.
great start. And again, to be able to go through this process, the most important thing is to distinguish between better and arrogance and annoyed and how dare they say this to me, and your worth.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're attaching your worth to any condition or state, then you are going to fall into this problem. You gotta get yourself and other human beings. The worth is because you belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's where your worth comes from. If you realize, and this needs to be realized, if you realize that, then you have access to actually not go into this route of, and this trickling, slippery slope of being better or feeling all of that. So that is another very, very important thing. Understand your worth. Get what the worth is of you, of any other human being, actually any other living thing, any other thing. Like, you have to understand where the worth comes from. It's all a manifestation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to understand to give things the value of what they are, rather than the way that we give value to things. The standards that we give value to things isn't really working for us. So I think it's wise to start kind of considering a different perspective of how we see worth.
Yeah, I think one of the most abusive statements that I've heard the most abusive people say is to tell someone else that they're worthless. Like they're determining their worth.
Oh my God. Or if you say it to yourself, how many times do you say to yourself, I'm worthless. Oh my God, you're nothing. Stop. You're worthy not because of you. You're worthy because you are His creation. Your worth comes from Allah. Stop thinking it's you. It's not you. Allah has given you this gift of you. Your soul, your body, your psyche is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to understand the worth of this. The people around you are a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to understand that worth. That's where the worth is coming from. It's unconditional.
So that leads to the other point we said about like understanding that sometimes your arrogance is against other people, or it's against something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where you have to start to identify, where does it show up? Like, start looking, where am I being triggered, being angry, being annoyed, feeling all of these kinds of things. Start noticing them, start observing them, as we always say, just like start seeing. Once you take the significance out of I have some arrogance, take the significance out of it. That's part of the nature of the human being, is that you can get into arrogance. Just like acknowledge it and look where it manifests and start observing it and noticing how it shows up. Because that's going to be your access, inshallah, along with, as we said, understanding where your worth comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so tempting to make your worth about like your achievements and your skills and
So true.
things you work so hard on in your life. Like that's how we think, we're getting better at things. That mean that's where we're getting our worth from.
Yeah, exactly.
As you get older, and I'm appreciating this as a middle-aged person, it's like you start to lose everything you worked so hard to get. Gradually, it starts to fade.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, and even like, I was just hanging out with a group of people not that long ago, and people that are going through the empty nest syndrome when their kids have grown and left. And it's really takes a toll on people. Like they don't know what to do with themselves. They don't even know who they are anymore. It's just this complete loss of like worth of like, I was the mom, I took care of all this. I took, even though it's like, but you have so much time now. Like you don't have to do this anymore. But when it's like they're lost. I mean, we become
Because
lost of like, what, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what my worth is if my kids don't depend on me,
Exactly, because that's where they got their worth from. When you,
Yeah.
as a parent, this is a very common issue, is that I get my worth out of me taking care of my kids and raising my kids. That's my worth. When that's gone, then my worth is gone. You see what I'm saying? And that's why
Yeah.
people suffer. It's like, don't attach yourself to the lasting. Don't attach yourself to the thing that goes away. And that's, I think, the last piece of the remedy that you got to develop yourself in, which is understanding the temporality of everything, and be smart and do what the ayah is saying. Attach yourself to something that lasts. Do and work towards something that you can find forever. The only way it can happen is if you're doing it not for you, not to seek value, not to seek worth. You're doing it because you are responsible of doing it, period. The more you develop that muscle, and it's a muscle that needs to grow, the more you are able to do that. And it surpasses you. And, we don't have the time to get into this right now, but really, I mean, there are signs to understanding how is your action really as a good action. This is something, inshallah, we'll delve into in the future. But there is ways, just like start training yourself though. It's like, I'm leaving this planet. The whole conversation started, and it's actually in it right now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly reminds us, hey, remember, you guys are like, it's going. It's going. You could have the best and most beautiful thing. It's gone. It's not staying forever. Don't attach to it. So that understanding, anchoring yourself on this fact of life, gives our life so much quality. That's why I always say, connecting to death and understanding the aspect of the transitioning from this life brings a quality of life to your own life, because you get connected to what lasts, not the temporary things that you're always afraid that they will leave.
Yeah. That's a powerful ending. I know this episode was a little bit long, but there's a lot to unpack here in understanding ourselves, right? And so we have a number of questions for our audience, and just, take the time to sit with them. And there are more questions for this episode than maybe previous episodes, but just be patient with it and, think this through, because again, everything that we're kind of discussing in Surah Maryam it's all, in the end, revolves around your connection to Allah and feeling that love and mercy from Him. But to do that, you really have to unpack yourselves and figuring out and dissecting what are the things that we need to all let go of, right? And in this episode, it's a lot about arrogance and then the remedy for it. So
yeah, and if you don't mind, Shaza, saying, I think it's also good to look at the questions as two sets, because we started by talking about the groups and the parties and all of that, and then so kind of like the first set of questions about that, and then the second set is more about, as you said, the arrogance and how to remedy from it, just to kind of like, make it easier for us to digest the question.
So going back to kind of like the beginning of where we started, one of our first questions is thinking about who do you identify with and why? Again, we're in the relationships of groups and sects of groups or sects of people. So identify that. Who do you identify with and why do you identify with that group? And then number 2 is, what sense of superiority do you have over others in other groups? So what is that, by you identifying with what group that you choose to maybe inherently or inherently identify with, where's your superiority coming from or going towards other groups? It's not really a question of like, do you have a sense of superiority, but really digging in and identifying what is the superiority that you feel. So like we all have a sense of that when we're identifying with these groups, but what is it, And then number 3, do you feel so independent that you are not part of any group? There's some of us that feel that way. We're like, I'm non-denominational. Like I'm not a part of any group. But, be careful, because that in itself is another form of superiority and a group of itself. So think about those 3 questions in terms of groups. And then shift and think about, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper in some of these next questions. What are the criteria you believe lends value to you or others? So when we had that conversation about where do you get your self-worth and where do you get your value? Is it wealth? Is it beauty? Is it your family origin, your country, race, education, your skills, your career path? So be specific. Then notice how you rank others based on that criteria embedded in your belief system. You even determine your own wealth based on that. So do you look at others like, oh, well, they don't have the level of education I got. Like, I went through 12 years, they didn't even graduate high school or something. Or their money, their degree, whatever. Just just notice how you're ranking other people. Then keep observing the temporality of these values. See if you are willing to detach true worth and value to them. Can you create that detachment? Now, can you see that the human is just inherently valuable just because he's human? Like each person, just because he belongs to his creator. You may not reach a full realization of this at the moment, but just keep entertaining these perspectives and trying them on till they become real for you. That you give each person their worth just because he was created or she was created by Allah. So think about these, analyze them for yourself, and can join us next time as we continue with Surah Al-Maryam. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
If you like listening to our conversation about the Quran, imagine how much more you would get out of participating in a live conversation about the Quran with Dr. Nadia and a room full of people engaging with the Quran. Join us at our next in-person Seeds of Wisdom retreat, online with our weekly Quran and Me sessions, or for the youth at one of our Camp Z retreats.